Welcome everyone and welcome to All In, All United.
Remember the comment you made?
I comment on varsity.
Run Ryan.
And then the thing, you have players out there.
I think the fellas will take it more serious.
What grade?
That one had to go.
Yes, because at the end of the day, right now, Manchester United are
Welcome everyone, Simeon. Welcome to All In, All United. You know, we're here as promised. I don't know where the rest of fellas are, right?
Yeah.
But we here, you know. And we want to get into why we're here. You know, Manchester United, as always. You know, and I mean, I know Simeon is only preseason, and when the team sheet had come out yesterday, right?
Yeah.
It's annoying, man. It's annoying, man, right? To the point where Chef had to remind me, you know, that, you know, it's preseason, relax. But it's kind of hard to really separate preseason from when the season really starts. Because in my opinion, you know, just like when managers say you can't come in training and give 50%,
Yeah.
and then expect that you'll give 100% in games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I kind of see in preseason the same way. We're not just going ups and do good if we're not looking good during preseason, that is. So I get that it's preseason, right? But I liking what I'm seeing. And it have a lot, you know, that I've seen that given me the kind of feeling of optimism about next season. And I know you always tell me, you know, calm down, right? But in the same way that I go be annoyed if I see something foolish during preseason, it's the same way if I see something good. Because, you know, of what I was showing you just now in terms of how we approach things to get the kind of result. I just kind of see that same way. So, I mean, there's where I at with it, right? And before we get into anything, right, I want to know how you feel in the comment section and all, I could jump in. How you feeling so far about the preseason tour? You know, from where you're seeing, from where you're observing, the mood around the team. You know, where's the vibes again from the preseason tour?
I mean, positive. I mean, I think you watched that game yesterday. You see a lot of good things. You know, you see. I mean, the passing was the main thing. Like simple, the ability to pass out the back. You know, control the game, have possession. I mean, simple things you were doing yesterday that we didn't see for long stretches last season. Possession is the first thing. You know, you're seeing you kind of, I don't want to say finishing, but you're seeing a threat, you know, in final third. I mean, it ain't where I want it to be yet, but you see that a threat. You know, you're seeing, you know, players looking better. You know, you're seeing, you know, even you go be mad at me, you know, but even Shaw looked better last night. You know, Dorgu, who I was kind of, you know, pessimistic about him being, you know, I mean, he has the physical attributes to be a good player. I mean, a great player, but, you know, the height, the size, you know, the speed, but you know, the tech, the crossing, the execution is getting better. You know, standing is getting better, but you see a lot of people, looking good. You know, Kobe came in, looked good. You know, I mean, there's a nice vibes on the team. You know, look at Amarim. The question really is how the team looking, and they're looking good so far. You know, Cunha didn't play last night, and we still got to play. So you see a lot of good things. You know, I go say but in a moment, but you know, the team. Even down to young fellas, them looking good. You know, so you can't ask for more. You know, you really can't ask for more as far as with what they have training. You know, you can't really ask for a better, preseason. With the opposition we have, we beat them. We're moving from there. You can't ask for too much more.
Yeah,
But you can't take too much though. You can't take too much from it.
yeah. All right. I mean, for me, one of the things that would have stood out was from the onset was the decision to leave what they call the bomb squad home, right? Because we've been hearing last season about a cultural reset, and
Yeah.
and it's something that we struggle with for a long time in Man United with player power and those kind of things now, where players controlling the narrative, players dictating the pace, they deciding which manager they want. They'll play with the manager up to a point in time, and then when the manager start to make demands, they let him go. And they just, the downing tools. And the manager now had to find a way to please people just to get the team on side. And the fact that players are being left out, you understand, for disciplinary reasons, it really showing me that we really trying to point in a particular direction in terms of resetting the culture in the club, right? Because far too many times Alejandro Garnacho was one of the culprits of doing things to undermine the team and the managers, right? And he not here. And when you think about white talent, it is a miss, right? You could do with having Garnacho here, but what is more important to Amorim in terms of what we're trying to build is that kind of unity in the team, no toxicity, that kind of way now. So we making sure that we're leaving them out so that we could move forward with a group that understand the vision. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think the hopefully, the that will continue. I mean, you need to have players that want to play for the team. Players that would listen. I mean, as a coach, you can't have players just talking. You say something, they walk behind you and say something else to the bench. I mean, you can't have that on a team. So I don't know exactly what Garnacho was on last season, but he ain't. If he put some more them their chances behind, in the back of the net, back of the net, we might have a bigger issue. But he wasn't doing that. All the flashy flash. So I don't know why he think he could bust that kind of style. He trying to bust, but he could go somewhere. He could go Chelsea. He could go somewhere else. I don't know why we would sell to Chelsea, but he could go somewhere else and play.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, together with the fact that those players were left behind, you're actually seeing when you look at, because I don't know if you just watch the tour diaries and all those different things that they post up on what YouTube and stuff. You're sensing that the mood in the camp is different. And I mean it's easy to say that at the beginning of every preseason, but it has always have every season, every preseason in the past, it always had something lingering or something hanging, over our heads, and the manager having to answer questions about this player who are happy and this and that and the other. And it was always a form of distraction from the team being able to focus on what the plan is going forward. So I think with those things not there, and I think if we had, like we said, the likes of Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho on camp, it would have always been about Rashford or about Sancho or about Garnacho. It would have always been about, because even the post-season tour, if you recall, it had plenty conversations in the pressers about Garnacho. And when you look at Garnacho during games, you're seeing, his whole demeanor not looking positive now. It looked like it was working against the team. So for me, that is one of the positives I've taken away from this tour. I mean, we'll only be able to tell how positive it was, or the impact, or the follow through on it, in terms of how we see the team play during the season.
Yeah.
So let me just get this one comment. Jerome on the Insight, thanks for joining, man. Good night to you. He said only two, yeah, but only two tonight. We're expecting some of them to probably jump in a little bit later. All right, but we'll see how it goes. But we're pretty capable, man. All right. And do guys don't forget to like and share the podcast so we can get more people in on the content, right? Blessings, blessings. So let me get into it, Simeon, right? Yesterday, I think in the 4-team lineup for this Premier League tour series or summer series, what they call it, Bournemouth was probably the best team of the bunch, right? Even looking back at how they performed last season, coming into this little mini tournament, they were the best team. And one of the commentators said yesterday, whoever won that game yesterday would more likely be the one to go on and win the little tournament now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So going into that game, knowing, and I want to put it in quotes, right? What was at stake, who we were playing against. What was your thoughts on the starting lineup? Because it was a rotated team. Did you expect Amorim to go with that level of rotation? What was your thoughts on the team news?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Maguire and Shaw, I know Maguire had some issues before. Yeah, it was kind of surprising. I felt like, you were saying that, we're going back to this, and like part of me was like, is this his safe? Like, is this his safe team? Like, is this the team that he goes to when he wants to play safe? But the way they played was a little bit more. They played, they were up for it. I looked at the team yesterday; they were up for it. I didn't see too much of a change in as far as what they were trying to do. Apart from the first game, the control they had was pretty. The game was pretty good. Ahmad back up. Back up there. You saw. He looked good. You saw. Mount being in there was kind of kind of scratchy head, but I don't think he did too bad. He had the assist, so I mean, it kind of showed you that the people he have working with him on this tour, he has confidence in them, and he's working with them to make sure they can play the way he wants to play. So that was a good sign to see he can rotate the team and still have a level of consistency in way of play. We see Casemiro, and nothing really so surprised us. He's, even though he's fitter, he still can't really run with most of the midfield, and he tried some passes, and Bruno was Bruno. Bruno had some good plays, but he ball, and they were quite safe with Bruno. He can't really. You get the ball to Bruno, either it's a home run or he's losing the ball. So Rasmus, Rasmus is Rasmus. I think his way of doing things worked last night. It was working. He was fighting up, he was wrestling, he was running hard, and it worked in that game. I can't fight that. The finish he had, it looked good. I don't know how much he knew about it, but it looked good. So I'll give him that. Dorgu, I keep saying he looking, I always say, the thing with our transfer markets and our scouting, like, if you buy a player that can run fast, we talk about athletes. You buy a player that can run fast, a young player that can run fast, has good size, it's more of a chance that he could grow into something than you buy a player without it. So I think he has, looking back now, it might be more better buys. But that being said, we ain't play a game yet. I want to give Dogu flowers. I was sour to him, but like I said, I don't want to fall in that trap yet. We see him for looking good, but if you, I remember
Yeah,
these
giving
things.
it
I
a
mean,
tall boy.
no, I mean I know I'm getting ahead, but I remember Ten Hag I remember Ten Hag taking teams to America. I mean, looking real good against Arsenal and all these teams looking good. Going to all these teams, and we come in the Premier and we struggle with Wolves. So I mean, I'm glad how we're looking, but the pinch of salt.
Yeah. I hear you. And I don't doubt you, and I don't blame the fan base that is very cautious with the team. We've been here so many times before, and we just always get dragged back here to get disappointed, So I get you. I get you. Phil, welcome, man. Richard on the inside, night to you, buddy. Thanks for joining, man. Jerome saying here, we are looking good in preseason, but I still get very annoyed by the center mids. Right? First 15 minutes, Bruno think he was at soccer aid, right? And such a careless Hollywood passing under bad conditions, though, who was man of the match. Yeah, we were getting to the game just now, but good points. Richard saying here, Reem like only rotating the podcast 2 hour. Yeah, some men still on vacation, Some men are getting ready for preseason. Right?
Yeah,
so
Patrick Dogu Porto Carlos. That's a player, boy.
Yeah.
That's a big.
No,
big
but
player.
Phil is get carried away too, because remember when he had Shawbo to Carlos there, right? I ain't forget. Right? But we're talking about the team that Amorim selected yesterday, right? After the game against West Ham, even though it's preseason, we know it's a tournament, it's a money to be won. It's a little bragging rights trophy. So and Bournemouth was arguably the next best team of the four, and Amorim went in with a rotated squad. What was your thoughts on the team that he put out? I wasn't pleased, but go through.
I don't think when it comes to squad selection you'll ever be pleased with who he puts out, because at some point in preseason you'll get an idea of who is possibly the first team squad. Now we know Heaton and hopefully not Luke Shaw will not be part of the first team squad, and hopefully not Casemiro, right? And one more guy, Rasmus Højlund, boy, Jesus. You hope that these guys are not part of the first team squad. So when the squad was announced, I think you had sent it to me, Reem, and I analyzed it. And I guess one of my questions was why De Ligt didn't start, why Cunha didn't start either, right? That's why I messaged you and I said Cunha had an injury, but it looked like he was normal and fine to me, right? So I still a bit confused as to why Mbeumo. I know it was announced that Mbeumo would be part of the game versus Bournemouth, right? But I was still wondering why, right? There was no sign of injury when we signed him, or he didn't pick up any knocks in training. So, I mean, the squad did pretty decent in the first half, but there were still times where the midfield was not being composed, right? But I guess we'll get to that later on. But in terms of the actual squad that he put out, I said whatever squad we put out, it could always be stronger than Bournemouth, because Bournemouth have lost a lot of players like this transfer window, but they haven't replaced them, right? So the only person I was fearing was Semenyo, and to some extent maybe Evan Nielsen, but other than that, nobody else.
Yeah. I don't know, but it has some players that I can't wait to see the back of, right? And anytime I see them starting games, it is irk me, right? It is irk me. So I mean, Amorim, normally, all right. So this is just how I have seen it happen for the time I've been following these preseason games and how it is work. When you start preseason, you tend to give one group 45 minutes and then the next group 45 minutes. right? And coming closer to the end of your preseason preparation, the group that's more than likely to start your competitive season are the ones that you'll start to give more minutes, and then you will bring on the more peripheral fellas for the shorter minutes in a game. So when I saw against West Ham in the first game, Amorim play 70 minutes, and then he bring on the others for the balance 20 minutes, 20 plus minutes. It kind of gave me the impression that Amorim more or less close to settling on who he want to have as his preferred group going into the Arsenal game, because we don't have no big setup preseason games like how we used to have before. I remember before we had like 7 or 8 preseason games. Now we just have 4, 6, right? So I was of the opinion that these games here, he gonna take it seriously, because we don't have much preseason games, and we're gonna see we're gonna continue to get some consistency with the squad, and we're gonna build it. The only people who we know gonna miss out as players who we probably sign, like Mbumo, who we say had to catch up, stuff like that. But I was expecting to see a strong team played yesterday. So when I didn't see that, and I seem like Shaw, Mount, them things start to annoy me when I see Ahmad in the 10. Not that I don't want to see Ahmad in the 10, but I looking at consistency and continuity, right? It threw me off a bit. But that was hindsight. Well, that was before everything. Sitting here a couple hours after the game, them fellas impressed me. Them fellas real impressed me. You understand? So, thoughts on the game, fellas? Thoughts on the game?
I think I'll start with the constructive criticism. I think Lenioro was a bit nervous. Lenioro was, when receiving the football, he just looking to hoist it long and hope that it falls to a United player. And that's something we don't want to see. Luke Shaw. So I'm in a couple of United groups, and I post the exact same thing in these United groups. Whoever in this group can guess the closest number to how many times Luke Shaw makes a forward pass will get some money from me. Men say 6, men say 7, men say 9. Luke Shaw, I kid you not, is what you call a back pass Billy. A back pass Billy. Whenever Luke Shaw gets the ball, Luke Shaw is always going to pass sideways or forward. Or the famous Luke Shaw run where he goes on a run, he brings it up to you like this here, and he passes it 2 inches to you. And that's a pass completed. Luke Shaw could be here, and you could be here. Luke Shaw would not let the pass the ball and let the ball roll to you. Luke Shaw gonna bring the ball to you, pass it, and then get back into position. The famous Luke Shaw run. Midfield, I've said it once and I'll say it again. We cannot start Bruno and Casemiro in a midfield. We're going to totally get destroyed by other midfields that are more dynamic, that are more energetic. Brentford's midfield kind of destroyed us, right? And then Mason Mount, I still don't know what Mason Mount offers. To just go a little bit off topic, I really hope Chelsea puts in a 60 or 70 million bid for Garnacho, because we need to get back that Mason Mount money. So back to topic now. And then Rasmus Højlund. You all of a sudden talking about you're looking to fight for your place at Manchester United now that we linked to a Benjamin Sesko, and that RB Leipzig willing to take a player and cash for Benjamin Sesko. And all of a sudden you coming out on social media talking, well, there will always be competition at Manchester United, and I want to stay and fight for my place. My guy, you better start packing your bag and heading over to Germany, right? Because at the end of the day, I would offload you and about 40 mil for Benjamin Sesko. Now that's a constructive criticism out the way. In terms of good stuff to say, I think Heaton was pretty decent. Who else was in the back now? It was Lenny Euro, Maguire. Maguire. It was a little bit easy. It was a little bit too easy for Maguire because you're never going to win. I don't. For some reason, I've been watching Maguire for about good 3-4 years. Whoever is the striker and the ball is in the air, Maguire always wins the header. I cannot recall where if an opposition team is playing direct football and Maguire is defending the striker, they've won the ball from Maguire. I cannot recall.
Nah, he's strong. He's strong in the air.
Yes, if anybody can recall, if it was one time that Maguire did not lose the battle with a football in the air, by all means. So Maguire, it was good for Maguire. Luke Shaw I talked about already, but one person, and I think most people on the podcast and people in the comments already know, we will criticize you, but when it's time to give you praise, we will praise you. Patrick Dorgu, a man possessed this preseason, definitely showed, and I am telling people this here right now, that man scored 2 goals last night, not 1. I am up to this day. I watched the replay, and that Hoyland indirect no ball into no net.
You see here blow one side. You see here flick.
Man, that is the win. That was the win in where that man played last night, New Jersey or Chicago?
Chicago, right?
Wherever it was, man. That man scored 2 goals last night. But forget about the goals, right? It's not his job to score. His recovery pace, his ability to shield off the football and turn and then move into the midfield as well to add in extra into the midfield, because at the end of the day, it'll be a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-5 whatever, right? I like Dorgu because he looks like he wants to help the team. And his ability to defend, and he also improved slightly in the final third. I like that. And he got let's call it an assist to Hoyland, right? And he crossed with his right foot as well. So big up to Patrick Dorgu. May that long continue. Long continue. Ahmad was not getting much service, but when he got involved, he definitely did cause trouble, right? It's very, very difficult to get the ball off of Ahmad these days. When Ahmad first signed for us, I was not a big fan of Ahmad Diallo because I thought he was scrawny and weak. These days, you cannot get the ball off of Ahmad Diallo. He wasn't as good as the game before, but he did score. Who else? Mason Mount? Nah, skip him. He's side man. And then Hoyland, yeah, skip him. Side man as well, too. So, but yeah, Patrick Dorgu definitely deserved man of the match for yesterday's performance, but I still have concerns with the midfield for sure.
I don't know if Karim will get to this fella who came on afterwards, because he was talking about the young fella in the back.
Hayden Heaven, yeah. He played well that yesterday.
You see some things from him. Yeah, is he gonna be really, really, really good? You know, it's time to learn from Heaven. You know.
Yeah. Proper.
You
just see the quality he have on the ball. I mean, it's so easy to see. You know, he calm, he collected, and you know. Promising. Let me just get some comments quick before you jump in, Simeon, right? Jerome saying here, and Mbumo had no pre-season with Brentford, so he's behind, right? I am to agree with that, just because I see other players who didn't have no pre-season getting minutes, right? We ain't saying the man had to play full 90, but 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, These are professionals, you know.
I mean, well, Gyökeres show up and play what the last few minutes for Arsenal?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rashford played 10 minutes and then he play again this morning. Come on, man. Yeah. Jerome also saying here, I kind of disagree with Phil. Lenny wasn't nervous. He was getting some bad passes, ball to the wrong side, and away from him, he have to stretch for it. This is true, right? That forced him to go long versus compounding the bad passing and giving it away at the back, right? Centre mids were careless with their passing, and there's something I want to get to. But Simeon, Jody on the inside, blessed night, buddy. Thanks for joining, man. Simeon, go through.
I mean, with the passing, Casemiro, Casemiro can make the thing with Casemiro is he can make those passes. I know the conditions wasn't right yesterday, but he can make them passes. He just, he should have known that. Kind of whether they have, he could have, been more careful with the ball. Bruno, well, I don't know. Like, my issue with Bruno has always been his, not just his passing, but his control of the ball in tight spaces. Like when you get crowded, when players around him, burying him, like you don't have the kind of, you look at Silva, look at some other players who could, maneuver around, tight spaces. Like Bruno, he do have a kind of, the man's skillful, but that's not his strong point. And it concerns me, like when we're trying to move forward, and then, a lot of, fast breaks end right there, So that's always a concern with our midfield. I mean, I don't know what the plan is there. I mean, Ugarte came in, and Ugarte looks like he's trying to add some more pieces to his game, which is good. But, you don't know how long, you don't know when the complete version, if you can wait for that complete version of Ugarte, who else? Collier might be going on loan.
I think that's a big mistake.
I like Collier. I think he's solid. I don't think he's bad at anything, but I don't think he's great at anything. But
I think Alona will be good for him, but we had to replace him. That's why I think.
Yeah, I mean, who else played last night? I'm trying to figure out who else stood out last night. I think the first team played. How many minutes they played? Like 69 or 70?
69. Well, the 70th minute, the changes came.
Yeah, Aiden Heaven played well for the short, well, not short cameo, because they played like 25 minutes maybe at most. The guy Malata that plays on the right wing.
Montato.
Oh yeah, Montato. Yeah.
Yeah. He played decent as well. He's one tooted for the future as well. Ethan Williams. Like, there's just me. I actually was a bit more excited to see the youngsters on the field. That I actually like stood up out of my, like, not stood up like literally, but I actually like was a bit more posed to see these youngsters because they look more energetic, right? Collier, like, I know you said that sending Collier on loan is a good idea. I'm not against it, but I think there's some composure in Collier that makes me less jittery. Right? Like when Casemiro and Bruno have the ball, I get a bit nervous, right? With Collier, and Collier is not as senior as them, but for some reason Collier just looks so calm on the football. But that's just me, right? So,
but my thing, Phil, is how I see it, right? In this kind of system, you see those two center midfielders, they had to be a little more dynamic, right? And I find right now where Collier is at, he real basic. You understand? So, yes, you want the sideways passes, but Collier don't give you nothing. He don't give you anything more than just safe football. And not that anything wrong with safe football, but you want a little more dynamism from those two. And I just feel as though Collier's a good player, and I feel as though if we keep him, it might mess with his development because he have Casemiro, Bruno, Kobe, and Ugarte in front of him. So
probably too.
Yeah, so let him go. Let him experience senior level football. Let him build up, let him, get exposed. And then come back and see where
I'm not against sending him alone when you
Yeah.
think about who's in front of him, right? So, but it's who we're gonna send him on loan to that he can at least get some playing time, right? So
Correct.
And what's the Obi? I think he needs to go on loan too. Honestly,
Kobe Manu?
nah.
Obi, Chido.
Oh,
Chido.
Chido. That's Kobe Manu.
No.
Chido definitely. I can definitely see on loan if we do bring in a striker. Even if we don't bring in a striker, I still think he should go on loan, right? I can make some. I don't know if this could be a controversial take, but I think Aiden Heaven should be above the pecking order for Luke Shaw.
You see, these fellas just make it so hard. And I'm not talking about Aiden Heaven, I'm talking about Luke Shaw, because as much as I pass Shaw, right? Shaw didn't have a bad game yesterday.
Man, that man passed so many times. What are you talking about? That man more basic than Collier.
No, but
go on loan.
In terms of the primary function, right? I thought Luke Shaw did well. He came across well. I thought he was very commanding. You understand and I figured, right, if it had any change that was going to happen between the back three from the first game and the second game would have been Luke Shaw and Heaven, right? Because Heaven made some positional mistakes that cost us against West Ham. So I figured if it had any change in the back three, it would have been Luke Shaw for him, right? So when I see Luke Shaw start, as much as it annoyed me, I kind of catered for it, right? And I didn't think, from a defensive standpoint, I don't think Shaw was he was that bad. I think it had a little lapse, but for the most part, I thought Shaw held his end from a defensive standpoint. Now going forward, we know Shaw safe, we know Shaw is pass back, but positionally, and he made a real decent recovery run to clear Evan Nielsen.
Evan Nielsen, yeah.
And it has some other interceptions that where I thought he was good, So that's the basis of my comment, right? But I mean, we know Heaven looking like a real generational talent here.
Yeah, for right now, in about 3-4 years, I hope Heaven and this Fredrickson fella could definitely play a part in our defense. Because I like both of them so far.
I think, Simeon, you mentioned the point that I wanted to talk about in terms of the midfield. I think when we had started the game, the energy, the intensity that the team was playing with was absolutely perfect. You cannot. And one of the things too, remember we used to talk about teams outworking us? Yeah. And if it's one thing I cannot tell you, see, yesterday, Bournemouth did not work. We work as though we was a real underdog team. Like our underdog team will just go in and just work hard. And that was something that was pleasing for me. Right? And then too, and it's something that, I don't know if you remember, Phil, I mentioned in the pod that we do last week, how we just take long to build the ball out from the back. And I find yesterday, we were moving the ball out of the back so quickly. And we had some nice little one-touch combinations happening. But the only issue I was having was when it left, Casemiro was either overhitting the pass, he was making the wrong pass. Because I felt as though when it reached by Casemiro and Bruno, they were making the wrong decisions or executing the passes poorly. Right? So you see two of them inside our hole there? The one-touch passing and movement was nice, right? But the ideas behind the passes were nice, but the execution was poor for me. And that kind of broke down a lot of what we could have done, because with all the dominance again that we had yesterday, with all the possession and with all the nice pretty 1-2s in the middle of the park, I don't think we had much the amount of chances I would have liked to see in the final third from that kind of possession and that kind of nice little movement and thing. You know, when we reach up further, something will happen and we will lose the ball, and we're trying to recover. So that was the only little issue I had with the midfield too. I beginning to convince myself that you see that defensive line, that's a very stubborn. We have a very stubborn defensive line, which is good, because we just hardly, unless we have a malfunction, once everybody maintain the levels of concentration, we're a very hard team to score on. You understand? Again, I can't say nothing bad about Dogu. I just sitting and quietly, observing, and the praise is there because Dogu looking a new player, right? I thought yesterday Ahmad was a lot more involved, which was good, right? He had some nice little feint and he was getting off. He was getting the player that was on his back. He was getting away from his player, pretty easily. And these are the kind of things that I want to see. So for me, Ahmad had a decent game. I think somebody would say I thought Ahmad had a good game, right? Hoyland gave us what I think Simeon, you mentioned it. Hoyland gave us the best that he got. Who sang that song? Anita Baker? He gave us the best that he got. And the best that he have earlier is industry, trying to be physical, and just grafting. And I guess that is what the game suited, like what Simeon said. But from a technical point of view, every time the ball reached Hoyland's foot, I wasn't impressed. He not at the level, right? That is not the level output that I want from my center forward, right? Did he work hard? Yes. Did he graft? Yes. Did he, put the center backs under some little problems? Yes, he did. But after that, I don't think, he left a lot to be desired. His runs are improving, his movement in the box is improving, and I think that is what led to the first goal, right, which was pretty decent. But apart from that, I think we need more than Hoyland. Now, I want to get to, I know Phil touched on it, right, but I want to get to this topic of Hoyland, right? Now, it had some comments after the game from Hoyland, right? And
I mean, why we
no. But hear this, right? I want us to try as much as possible. Comment section as well. Let's put our personal biases aside for a bit and try to look at it from a neutral standpoint. Let me try, right?
Reem, I ain't gonna lie. You will be by yourself on this one here. I can sit back and listen.
No. But let me put certain things into context, right? I ain't trying to save nobody here, but just here he was interviewed after the game, right? And this is what he had to say. He said, when I arrived, Marcel was here. He had a lot of injuries, so obviously I had to play a lot. I always want to play, but obviously I could have used a bit of help to share the matches, right? Then he went on to say, I'm still very young. I think people sometimes forget that. I'm only 22. I've learned a lot, and I think that shows in my game. I have done very well so far during the preseason, right? He said, I think my plan is very clear, and that's for me to stay at Manchester United. I want to fight for my spot, whatever happens, right? So, based on that, probably you all may not have heard his comments. Probably you may have just seen a part. But based on that, right? And based on what you're probably seeing, and I should not have seen more Hoyland before, but anyway, right? But do you all think that, or first, do you all empathize with the point that as a young striker coming into Man United, he was thrown into the deep end, he had to sink or swim, and the team around him wasn't good. Marcel was injured, and he had to just play. Do you think Hoyland is going to have a better season than last season if he stays?
Can he play worse?
That's all you, Simeon.
I mean,
Reem asking some foolish questions. So I hear, observe it, and I listen to you, Simeon. I watch in the comment section as well too. So
Come, Phil, try to be a little objective now, bro.
Come on now, this is one that you can't convince me talk about Hoyland and positivity, boy. There's one that, boy, I will mute my mic first, boy.
Go, Joseph.
I mean, I don't think he could play worse than he did last year. I mean, he was just pure trash. I mean, couldn't he have a season like he did the first year? Probably. Um, personally, I was a big when he first came. I'm more a fan of Rasmus as a fan, someone that loves the club, than I like his game. It's like it's two different things. It's like, yeah, I like Rasmus, young fellow who always wanted to come to United. But when I watch his game, I can't I can't support having that level of mediocrity in that position. I mean, yeah, I empathize with him somewhat, but at the same time, it's sports. You have to perform, and he wasn't performing. I mean, he wasn't living up. And let me go back, because the level he was played at, it wasn't good enough for Bournemouth. It wasn't good for a lot of. I mean, he's one of the worst strikers in the league. Yeah, a young player, but like the simple basics of playing football, he struggled at. And that's the thing. It's not the cute finishing, the nice movement. It's the simple, holding the ball up. Things that he should have learned. Be good at this point that he couldn't do. So I'm always rooting for Rasmus to do well, but at the same time, I can't have him as one of the top two strikers at my club and expect the club to do well. I mean, that's just the way it is. If he stays here because the club can't sign two strikers, fine. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he has the ability to be a top striker at here anytime soon.
Yeah. I don't think I could have said it better. And we kept saying it last season. When the goal's not there, what you're offering, what you're bringing to the table, right? And the circumstances were not ideal for you as a young striker. But sometimes these are the situations that is make a man. These are the situations and circumstances that you have to see and try to beat, because that is what will make you into what we'll call a legend of a player. You understand? And for the 2 years that you've been here, I don't think we've seen anything to give us the thought that you're going to be better. Right? Because even in a preseason where the motivation, the motivation in the camp is high, it's positive, right? Everything seems renewed. You're getting regular, consistent minutes, and the same issues are glaring, right? And if you run into a goal drought, because I mean, let's see, if we bring in Cooney and we bring in Mbumo, the chance creations will improve. So chances are you'll get on to the end of certain things, right? But a goal drought for every striker is inevitable. What happens when you go through another goal drought? What do you offer the team? And for me, that is where I can't see, right? Because too much of your game, the fundamentals in your game is low level. Yesterday, there was this pass. He shake off the defender, and all he needed to do was play a simple pass across the field to Dogu, and he played behind him and sent the ball out to play, out of touch. Second half, you get fortuitous with a ball that tangle up under your foot, and the defender take bait and run past it. So you turn and you had the ball. Bruno was right there. You saw Ahmad, you tried to play a ball to Ahmad and they played the ball out to touch. Come on, man. right? And these are things that we've been seeing time and time again with Hoyland. This is your third season here. And I do agree with the I'm still young, right? Because in football age, if 30 years old, then 22 have to be mature. You understand what I'm saying? And as a mature player, you're not playing as a mature player. So for me, if we really want to say that we want to achieve stuff this season, I think Hoyland can be the main man. And I will even go as far to say as he can be around, you know. Let me just get some comments here, fellas. Right. Right. So Jerome saying here, Gyökeres was crap though. 2 shots in 20 minutes. Right. He got 4.1 so far score in that Arsenal cameo. Right. He also saying that Collier needs a good loan. Right. Where he can play significant minutes weekly championship. Yeah, I think so too. And I think these things could be written into loan agreements, that he have to play a certain amount of minutes and so forth, you know. Kobe has looked good. Yeah, Chido needs a loan, but he's young, so they will not send him out, still 17. But Chido, and me and Nico was talking about this yesterday, Chido have a kind of selfish little thing about him, eh?
You see it, right?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. Players, and even Mano had to pull him up on it yesterday, right? Because you have players around here, but you want to turn and you want to, where you feel you're playing in the under 16 or? No, man, come on, better. No controversy. Sure done. Heaven should be ahead of him regardless of inexperience. I think Mazwari Dulit and Euro will be the starting centre back. Shaw was better last night than previous game, but he can't be trusted. Yeah, this is fair. All right. Both Cassia and Bruno were overhitting passes and sometimes just choosing wrong passes. One instance, Bruno sent the ball down the left flank for Amad, who was in the right flank. No way he could have ever reached it. Yeah. And Casemiro did a lot of, similar. All right. Amad was good, but one bad loose pass 8 feet behind Bruno. He had to stretch backwards and lost it. Let our counter attack that he didn't save. Yeah, but I ain't gonna go off Ahmad for one bad pass when the majority of work was positive. You know, Rasmus is a huge confidence player, and him being the lone forward for 2 years, except for Xerxes last year, has destroyed his confidence. His game isn't close to world class, but it was better than what we saw last year. Alone to say Germany or Italy would do him a world of good. I'm not sure he can rediscover his confidence here. There's also another thing here. He needs to learn things he hasn't here because of no senior striker or coach teaching him. His hold-up game is poor. All right. Mylon on the inside, good night. Thanks for joining. All right. Mickey on the inside as well. Good night to you, man. Thanks for joining. Structure looking impressive. All right. So that is.
Let me say something like that. They say how you mentioned Mazraoui. I think we really mentioned Mazraoui so much. There's like the depth. I think the depth this year, especially in defense, should be helpful. Dalot play all in games on the right side, left side, left side, wherever. Like I'm not a big fan of Dalot, but having him play less games and less positions will help. We have so many people that could play different spots. I think the young fella might get some time. What's the young fella name again? In left hand side. From where are you from? Paraguay. The
Leon,
young fella we just bought.
Leon.
Yeah. I think he might get some if we get some minutes. I think we have competition. I think from what was reported, we had all these star players who assumed they could play every game and do what and who had some people in other spots who had to play every game. That you got a kind of level of I'll go there, I'll try my best, so I'll do a thing, and whatever happens, happens. I think now players understand that, hey, I have to play well this game. I have to show, do real good. I mean, Bruno is Bruno, but overall, I think the team knows they have to be sharp. You know, um, Especially in that 10 spot. Gosh, how many tens we have in that 10 spot? So I think having more players ready to go will keep us sharper because a lot of mental mistakes we had last season in defense.
Yeah, yeah. But let me just throw this in before we move on, right? And it have a reason why I brought up Hoyland for discussion, because we have a lot of fans who think he should be given a chance, right? And we want to respect every angle of argument here. But I think what is unanimous from all in all United is that we've seen enough, right? And there are too many fundamentals, right, that not there, for our liking. And I think he is here too long to not consider him senior. You understand? So in that regard, unless you're bringing in like somebody like a Harry Kane, who would be more senior to him in the team, I think he needs to leave, because you're bringing in Sesko. Sesko,
Young too.
yeah, he young too. So, and I mean, what was kind of encouraging, kind of way, but then again, you can never tell, is Amorim was asked about Hoyland's future, in the post match, right? And he said, "I'm really happy with Rasmus. I don't know what is going to happen until the market is closed," right? So I take a little bit of positive from that, because when he talk about other players who we know ain't going nowhere, he just be a little more definitive, So the fact that this was said, kind of hinting that, hey, your pick is sure, right? You not sure to be here come next season. Well, the start of the season. So let's see how it goes. Now, Simeon, you wasn't here. You was on the pod last time, right? So I just want to get your thoughts on the issue that we have with Bruno, because Bruno played in the 10 against West Ham, and he played in the midfield yesterday against Bournemouth, right? And I think JP say he called it the Bruno conundrum. So my question to you, because Phil already gave his thought, right? So my question to you is, where does Bruno play when everyone is fit?
No, I mean, I don't. It's not really a good spot for him. I mean, you would say the 10, but you just bought two players to play there. I don't like him, in midfield because of the obvious. He gives the ball away. He not that great a defender, but he has to play in midfield. I mean, he has to. I mean, it's one of those things with Amarim's system. Like, I think he has to play in the midfield, and we have to keep the ball. I know it sounds kind of weird, but like, we have to play possession football. And, that way Bruno ain't, exposed and counterattacks. At the same time, you have to hope Bruno has some discipline when we get the ball and we try to break. It's no real good spot for him on this team. But the way Amram wants to play football, I think, he play Bruno in the midfield, because we'll be further up the field. Like we were like, trying to break down, defenses, trying to have one more player that could, shoot from distance, cross the ball, make plays. I think Bruno has to play be that one more attacking player, when we're trying to break down a defense. Will it work? Against good teams, I doubt it. I can't see, but if we could somehow hold on to the ball, have possession like other teams do to us, it could work. But that's ask a lot of, the team, ask a lot of Bruno, the way he plays, ask a lot of Amarim, to have, that kind. But the defenders, that maturing right now. The defense we have, he might take a risk with that. Having them for us be better, he might take a risk and have Bruno in midfield.
I just feel like when Amarim picking his team, pick Bruno, and then everybody else just had a fit, wherever they fit. Because Bruno not going to drop. If he have Mbumo and Cunha, then Bruno had to play midfield, and it just had to. Everybody else just had a fit. It is what it is. But point taken. Jerome saying here, Ruben wanted Watkins to lead and Hoyland to bench. Sesko is a big gamble, led by Vivel. And that's why I want to go. That's why I want to go now, right? So Phil, you can put back on your bike, right? So and we will wrap it up with this one, right? Because right now we're in the middle of a striker search. I know that there were a little more concrete reports that came out. But the two names that are up there are Benjamin Sesko and Ollie Watkins. So for you, based on what you see the team need, who would you prefer? Right now, who would you prefer? But also, based on what we hear, it seems as though Sesko is the one that's leading in terms of who we're going after.
Yeah, so as of 15 minutes ago, 1-5, it was just reported that Manchester United have informed RB Leipzig about their plan to bid for Sesko, also to show evidence to the player that he's their top priority as new striker. Sesko will decide in the next days with Manchester United and Newcastle proposals on the table, right? I've seen more of what Sesko can do in Germany. There are a bit of inconsistencies there. This is not me saying I am against Benjamin Sesko coming to Manchester United. But I will say that I, for some reason, think that a front three of Ollie Watkins and Mbeumo and Cunha would do some damage in the Premier League, Not only just because three of them are Premier League proven, right? But the three of them are like so versatile. They can move across the front three and interchange and confuse defenders, right? Ollie Watkins is a goal scorer. So is Mbeumo and obviously Cunha as well too, right? I told a couple of guys in a group today, I am not against Watkins. I am not against Sesko. I am against Rasmus Højlund. Okay? So if it involves a player plus money to get Benjamin Sesko and RB Leipzig are a fan of Højlund, I would more go down that route, right? Only because we're getting rid of Rasmus Højlund. Who would I prefer? As I just mentioned maybe a couple minutes ago, I'm more leaning towards Ollie Watkins, 29 years old. Yep, that's okay. But the Premier League experience, the wisdom is also there. And I know a lot of people saying, well, last time we signed a 29-year-old striker, we won the league, right? So I'm not going to fall into that deluded trap. We're far from winning the league. But if I had to choose, definitely Watkins. But if we do get Sesko and Sesko chooses to come to Manchester United, I'll welcome it. So yeah.
I'm not enthused by the choices. I mean, I haven't. Last time I looked at Sesko was Euros. I haven't really looked till now. I haven't really looked. I haven't done my research since. It looked ordinary last Euros. I found I didn't see anything really. It was a lot of talk about him coming to the big teams, but I didn't see anything in the Euros that really, impressed me. Watkins, I mean, same thing what Phil said. I mean, he could definitely do a job for us. I think that's pretty the safest bet for us. But for me, I'm kind of not dejected, but like striker without top, need, and to watch, teams like Arsenal sign one, watch Chelsea sign two, Liverpool trying to sign two strikers before we did. It's kind of like, okay, well, what's left? We transfer. It's too often we come to this point where it's like, we come, these important positions, but we get in the last, picking the last. I mean, I know Sesko, a big name mentioned before by Arsenal with other teams, but like I said, nothing really screamed that it was and the kind of money you have to spend too is like, I mean, we used to spend bad money, but still, at this point in the game, spend that kind of money for a striker that you're not sure about, really, that doesn't really light it up as they say. I mean, kind of worries me. The levels of you see the Haaland, you see Isaac, I don't know where he's going. He might go to Liverpool with Etik. Let me get man Etik. What my name is?
Ekatike.
Ekatike, yeah. I mean, they both is they're like twins, more or less. But Isaac, that's a high level striker right there. I mean, that's where first and fifth, the difference is striker. I mean, it's a big difference having a good striker there. When you look at your boy about the Chelsea, I even hear his name called, and that man went to Chelsea. That man immediately make a difference. And even Delap, I know he probably mad. He go there, have all these strikers. I mean, Chelsea have 5 strikers on the team, but Delap played a few minutes for Chelsea, and you see I don't think he was good, but you see the quality right away. I just wonder if these windows we keep having where we pick last is gonna mean we finish, 5th or 6th because we ain't get the right striker. So, but as Phil said, the main thing is we need a better striker than Rasmus. So it is what it is.
I got also add, right, and I guess this is the obvious. Rashford, Garnacho, and Collier leaving, 3 homegrown talents. Adding Ollie Watkins to the team would also cover for one of them, right? And I think we need to have a certain quota for homegrown talent. So I mean, if we do go for Ollie Watkins, and there's pros and cons for both sides, but I'm more looking at the pros, right? So Ollie Watkins, homegrown talent based on Rashford already leaving, Garnacho about to leave, Sancho about to leave as well. Collier going on loan as well.
Oh yeah, Sancho still exists. I forgot about him.
Yeah, boy. So, we got to take into consideration homegrown talent. But then again, I got to ask you guys a question: is Aiden Heaven and Chido Obi considered homegrown talent?
That's a good question. I know Chido was bought through the academy, and Aiden Heaven was purchased Aiden Heaven was purchased as a first team player. So I don't know.
But Aiden was in the academy for Arsenal as well too.
No, but Aiden Heaven was purchased by Man United as a first team player.
Yeah,
and when he was given the number 26, Chido came in as a academy. You know, but I don't know how it is work for it to be.
I think you must be registered
with the academy
3 years before you turn 21 or something like that. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
I think that that's the definition. So, yeah.
My thing with Sesko, right, is I don't know. I just find we spent 73 million on Højlund, right? Brought him from a different league and brought him into a team to have to learn how to play against British defenders, defenders in the Prem. Sorry, let me say it like that. Defenders in the Prem. And he came in, he said he didn't have a senior striker to learn off of. Right? You're not going to pay $73 million on a striker to bring him and play him on the bench. Right? In the same way, you're not going to bring Sesko for 69 million, 70 million into your team for him to learn off anybody. You bringing him in to walk into that starting lineup. Right? And I get a feeling as though we're making the same mistake that we were making before, right? Because Sesko is going to come in and he's going to learn that defenders in the Prem don't play high lines like they played in Germany, right? He'll also learn that defenders in the Prem are very physical. Not only that, defenders in the Prem could play football, right? They're very quick, they're agile. And he will fall into the category where we go expect so much from him, and he may not be able to deliver because of all the adjustment that he had to make. So for me, right, I am thinking Ollie Watkins would have been what I consider the most sensible move for where we are right now. We don't know within the next 2 years. Let's say we get 2.5 years from Watkins. We don't know which striker we could scout and bring him in next season and let him sit under Watkins and develop under Watkins for the further year and a half that Watkins might be the preferred choice. And then we filter him into the team, and for all you know, we have a next striker for the next 20 years. Well, not 20 years, but you know what I mean, right? But so I just feel as though the Sesko move is another big gamble, right? And that is what a little concerning to me, right? I think we need, and this is why they went for Mbeumo. They could have go after 25 million Turkey. This is why we went for Cunha. It had so much other cheaper players they could have gone for that just as talented. But that factor of being Premier League proven was massive for Amorim. And I think it's the same thing for the striker. I think we needed to go Prem proven for right turn, left turn striker. And you see, it's not like we just choosing a random striker. I think Ollie Watkins, you look at his track record, the man has been consistent with his goals, right? He's a goal scorer. He could run the channels. He could press. He could also hold up the ball. He could link play. He's good on the eye. So, I mean, this guy taking so many boxes that I'm surprised that we actually going behind a younger, more expensive. And I keep hearing people talking about, resale value. Why it is Højlund don't have a big resale value and he's 22. So save me with a resale value talk, right? Because he could come here and shut down the place And what resale value we talking about for Sesko? Look, we came sell Hoyland. Garnacho is 21, we came sell Garnacho. So this whole thought about resale value, it had a context too, right? So I don't know. I really, I'm not against Sesko, but I'm just seeing too many similarities and too many red flags. All right. Let me just get some comments on, guys. I'll to wrap it, right? So Jerome, thanks for keeping the comment section going, bro. Right? He's saying Bruno as the false 9, right? So that is where that's the only place he could fit right now if everybody else perform, right? Bruno as a centre mid versus good teams will be an issue when we lose the ball. Right? Ruben wanted Premier League proven in Watkins, but the club tracking Sesko so long, and Vivel was RB prior to us, so they lean in there. All right. Watkins will be too expensive for his age and no resale value. I think I talked about our resale value, right, and could break down. That's why the club move away from him to Sesko. All right. I also wanted Sesko and Watkins in January. This is the world when you're outside the Champions League. We are doing well in our position. No doubt.
Good point.
Yeah. Liverpool trying to Salah-proof themselves from now. Chelsea is Chelsea. Buy 20 players and sell 15. How them is do that, I don't know. And they're selling that 15 players for good money too, you know.
The man get real money from Madwick and Joe Felix, boy.
Boy, how them doing that? How? Jeez. I prefer Watkins, Mateta, or Wissa, but seems the club going for Sesko. Yeah, so let's see how the Sesko thing will work out, because I think that's where all the arrows pointed, and I think Phil that was who? Onstino Fabrizio.
It was Fabrizio.
Yeah, so it looked as though, and from what we're reading as well, Sesko won't here. So it is what it is, fellas. Yes, the same Sesko want Man United, and then where Vivel is.
Yeah, true.
So let me see how it goes. I'm not against it, but I have my reservations. You know,
both have. I mean, you don't want to dismiss the whole concept of resale value, right? But you also want to tell yourself, if Sesko, let's say we sign Sesko, as Sesko hit the ground running for a good 2-3 years, right? Why would you want to get rid of him? That's the thing.
Exactly. So that's supposed to, that's all saying the same thing, it nullifying that whole resale value thing. Because when Rashford was 100 million, we didn't want to sell him, but now where's he resale value? We can't get that. If a man not performing well, you're not going to get no money for him, right? And if he performing well and he value high, you're not going to sell him. So where's this whole resale value talk about then? That's the point now, you know?
True.
Yeah. Jerome saying here, Ornstein confirmed it yesterday as well, right? Villa will not sell Watkins cheap. That's the block there. I mean, also tell the market, we see the market already earlier, right? The market is $55 million, right? That's the least you will get for a top player, right? And if we could throw 50 plus add-ons at Villa, I sure am taking that, right? Because the figure that Villa looking for is 60 million, right? And I find in this market that is very fair, right? So I don't know, but probably them thinking about resale, you know. Anyway, fellas, I think we're at the end. All right, let's see how it goes. We're gonna be here again on Sunday. Sunday, because I think the game is 5:00. So we're gonna be here again on Sunday evening, guys, to review the final game, which might be a trophy lifter, right? Against Everton. Everton, who everybody beat up so far in the little mini tournament. Right? It's this fella from Everton, I find a real decent boy, and Dai. He's number 10.
He nice, yeah.
Yeah, decent boy. Yeah. So we'll be here again on Sunday, guys. Closing thoughts, Simeon. Closing thoughts, Phil.
Two things. As much as we're making positive moves towards getting a striker, I don't want to believe these links, but us being linked to Donnarumma, that is interesting. That is quite interesting. I'm not going to drink the juice, but I can stare in the aisle and again pick up the juice and put it back down, pick it up and put it back down. We can check the expiry date, put it back down. That's what I'm doing right now, right? Donnarumma or Emi Martinez, we all know are upgrades on that scrub Andre Onana, right? That's the first thing. Second thing, we still need to see some movement on Sancho, Anthony, Malacia. Who else know? Garnacho, right? It was reported today that Chelsea have approved for the purchase of Garnacho. I know where Nico is, but I post that in a United group, and Nico about there yawning with the emoticon, with the emoji. So hopefully we can see two decisions being made. One being made by Sesko of where he's going to go, and obviously a bid coming in for Garnacho. Hopefully is in excess of 50 million. But that's just me. And those are my closing thoughts. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that last point you made. I mean, let's sell some players. I mean, now it's about August now. I mean, it's time for them to move. I mean, I think we have to not loan. I mean, we have to sell at least 2, well, 3 preferably. But I mean, we need to move those players. Try and get. I mean, not just the money, just get resolved. I mean, get them off the books, get them out of the club. And you have to worry about them again. That's a big deal this offseason. I mean, closing thoughts, just don't watch, be encouraged, but don't get too excited. I mean, it's preseason, a different intensity when the league starts. I mean, I watching Arsenal getting embarrassed, time and time again, knowing that their first game is against us. We go the big opportunity that first game on Sunday, midday Sunday. I mean, we have to. I mean, I don't care what you do. Yesterday, Sunday, we have to be ready for the real game. And and if we look as good as we looked, we have a chance. I think. But it would help having, this is what I kind of worry about. Like, does Amarim want to have Cunha and then Puma out there for the world to see? What he going to show Arsenal? And part of me watching the lineup yesterday, I was wondering, like, does Amarim have a not really a formation, but a lineup, little wrinkle that he's saving for Arteta that first game. So I think we looking good, but that save it for that first game, because Arsenal, I think, as much as good as they sign, they still hurt. They're still a hurt team, so we go see.
Mm-hmm. My biggest concern right now is the fact that we a couple weeks away from Arsenal, and we have Bayern and Heaton.
Oh yeah.
Right, because we don't know what's gonna happen with Onana, right? and you're going to throw Onana, Rusty Onana in net for Arsenal. Imagine Onana, as bad as he is, Rusty. It's better we just leave the goal empty. Right? So, that being said, we going into this Arsenal game with Heaton and Bayern there. So we could do all the good work in terms of outfield play. And that could be undone because we didn't give any priority and focus to this goalkeeping position. And that's scary. That's scary. I don't care what nobody say. Yes, Heaton looked good yesterday, but I'm not going into this new season with no 35-year-old man as my main keeper or as the starting keeper. That's crazy. That's insanity. That's madness.
But Kareem, after Onana, after Onana, I mean, we felt. I mean, after watching Onana last season, you know, we already in the garbage, you know, in the dumpster.
No. Here I tell you, Simeon. I remember we used to say it can't get worse than this, and this team proved that it could get worse, right? So listen, no. Listen, nah. So that's my thing, right? That's my thing. Let me see, right? Always focus on Sesko, and we have nobody to go keep. Let matter, right? Anyway, guys. So Phil, Simeon, guys, it was nice. It was nice. Those in the comment section, we do appreciate it. Again, we're gonna be here on Sunday to review the final game against Everton, and let's hope we could get a sighting of Mbumo, you know, and obviously Cunha will be back, so it might be the opportunity to see some of our signings play, you know, and get some minutes in the legs, man, because we were them ready and sharp for the start of the season. All right.
I want big up Jerome in the comment section, man. You get the comment section, allow Jerome, keep the comments coming.
For sure.
Whether it's this part or next part, man. So big up yourself, Jerome. Definitely.
Yeah, man, for sure. We don't look out for invitation to be on the panel, man, once you're willing. All right. Yeah. So fellas, have a good night and see you on the next one.
Yes, sir.